The sun was dying slow that evening, bleeding gold and fire across the Texas plains. The dust hung heavy in the air, curling around the worn boots of a man who'd seen too much of life and lost too much to care. His name was Caleb Thorn. The rancher folks whispered about in half fear, half awe. Some said he'd shot his own brother in a duel years back. Others swore he buried his heart with the woman he once loved and never spoke her name again. Whatever the truth was, Caleb rode alone, worked alone, and trusted nobody but his horse and the land. But that night, all that was about to change. He'd spent the day mending the east fence, muscles aching under the burn of the sun, when he saw the cloud of dust on the horizon, not the kind kicked up by wind or cattle. This was sharper, quicker, riders. 2, maybe 3. He squinted, jaw tightening. Visitors never brought good news in these parts. And sure enough, by the time he reached for his rifle, he recognized the lead rider, Sheriff Hayes, flanked by a stranger in a long black coat. The stranger rode like a man used to trouble. They pulled up at the gate, their horses restless, snorting clouds into the cool evening. "Caleb," the sheriff called, voice low. "We got business." Caleb leaned against the fence post, hands dusty, eyes hard. "Business at sundown's never good business, Sheriff." Hayes sighed. "Ain't my call. This here's Marshal Dane Carter from Abilene. He's followin' a trail, and it leads right through your land." Caleb's gaze flicked to the marshal. The man looked young but carried himself with the weight of someone older. A scar cut across his cheek, a reminder of a life where bullets did the talking. "That's so?" Caleb asked. "Woman named Evelyn Moore," the marshal said. "Escaped custody yesterday. She's wanted for fraud, forgery, and maybe worse. Rode south before dawn. Someone saw her headed this way." Caleb's eyes narrowed. Evelyn Moore. The name rang like an echo in his mind. He hadn't heard it in 5 years, but it still hit like a hammer to the chest. He turned his face away, voice low. "Ain't no fugitives here. Just me, the land, and silence. Mind if we take a look around?" The marshal pressed. Caleb's hand drifted to the rifle slung at his hip. "Not as a threat, just a reminder." "I mind," he said. "But I reckon you'll do it anyway." The marshal held his gaze, then nodded. "We'll be quick." As they rode off to search the barn and the stables, Caleb stood motionless, watching the sun sink. His heart was thudding, slow but heavy. He knew she was here. He could feel it, like a shadow creeping behind the light. When the riders disappeared behind the barn, Caleb turned and walked toward the house. His boots made no sound on the porch. He opened the door slowly. Inside, the house was dark except for the flicker of the dying fire. And there, sitting by the hearth, was her. Evelyn Moore. She was thinner than he remembered. Her once bright dress torn by the road, her hair tangled with dust. But her eyes, those same storm-gray eyes, still burned with the same reckless fire. She rose slowly, trembling. "Caleb," she whispered, voice breaking. He shut the door behind him. "You shouldn't be here." "I didn't have anywhere else to go," she said, stepping forward. "They'll hang me, Caleb." "You know they will." He turned away, staring into the fire. "You forged a man's will, Evelyn. That's the kind of sin you don't outrun." Her voice shook. "It wasn't just a man. It was your father's will, Caleb. And I did it for you." The air went still. Even the wind outside seemed to stop howling. Caleb's knuckles whitened against the mantel. "You're lying," he said, but his voice cracked, betraying him. She stepped closer, tears in her eyes. "He was gonna sell the ranch, Caleb. Said you weren't fit to run it. Said your brother would inherit everything. I couldn't let him take what was yours. I changed the papers, just enough to make you heir. I didn't do it for gold or for me. I did it because I—" "Don't," he cut her off, voice low and rough. "Don't say what you're about to say. Because I loved you." The words hung between them like a knife. Caleb's chest heaved. He wanted to hate her, to throw her out, to let the law take her. But the years hadn't dulled what he felt. They'd only buried it deep. He turned, eyes burning. "You destroyed everything," he said. "My brother, the town. They all turned on me when they found out. Said I stole it all. I buried a man because of that. You made me a killer." She flinched as though struck. "And I've been paying for it every day since." Outside, the crunch of boots on gravel snapped both their heads toward the window. The lawmen were coming back. Evelyn's voice trembled. "Please, Caleb. Don't let them take me." Caleb stared at her, torn between duty and the ghost of the love he once knew. Finally, he grabbed his coat. "Follow me." He led her out the back door, down the sloping ridge behind the house. The night was falling fast. And the plains stretched endless and empty under the rising moon. They reached the old barn at the edge of the property, half collapsed and forgotten. Caleb pulled open the door and motioned her inside. "You'll stay here till morning," he said. "Then you ride south through the canyon. There's a stagecoach trail. Follow it till you reach Dry Creek. You'll find help there." She caught his arm. "Caleb. Why are you helping me?" He met her gaze, hard, tired, but not without warmth. "Because once, I made you a promise I never kept. And maybe this is the only way I can." Tears welled in her eyes. She touched his cheek, voice trembling. "You haven't changed." He stepped back. "You'd be surprised." Just then, a shadow fell across the barn door, a voice outside calling, "Caleb. You in there?" It was Marshall Carter. Caleb cursed under his breath. He motioned for her to stay quiet. Then stepped outside, pulling the door behind him. "What's this place?" the marshal asked, raising his lantern. "Old storage barn," Caleb said smoothly. "Ain't much left worth lookin' at." The marshal peered past him, eyes sharp. "Mind if I see for myself?" Caleb's jaw tightened. "I mind plenty." The two men locked eyes, the lawman and the outlaw in disguise. The wind hissed through the grass, the lantern flame trembling between them. Then, from inside the barn, came the faintest sound, the creak of a loose board. The marshal's hand went to his gun. What was that? Caleb didn't think. He moved like lightning, knocking the lantern aside. The night exploded in darkness. The marshal shouted, gun drawn. But Caleb swung hard, catching him across the jaw. The men stumbled back, hitting the dirt. Caleb stood over him, chest heaving. "You don't want this fight, Marshal." But the younger man spat blood, glaring up. "You're protecting her, aren't you?" Evelyn Moore. Caleb's silence was answer enough. The marshal smiled grimly. "Then you're a fool, Thorn. She'll ruin you again." Caleb holstered his gun. "Maybe. But not tonight." He turned, kicked the lantern away, and vanished into the dark. When he returned inside, Evelyn was trembling. "You hit a lawman for me." Caleb grabbed a saddlebag, filled it with food and water. "You've got till dawn. After that, you ride." She hesitated, eyes searching his. "Come with me." He froze. The weight of the world seemed to rest on that moment. Leave the ranch, his home, his burden, and vanish into the unknown with her. Or stay and face what he'd built on broken promises and blood. He shook his head slowly. "This land's all I've got left. You go, Evelyn. Don't look back." Her lips parted, a silent plea. "Caleb, don't take it off." She whispered suddenly, her eyes falling to the old silver badge still pinned to his coat, half buried in dust. "That badge means you're still the man I believed in." Caleb stared at the badge, a relic from the days when he wore it with pride. When he stood for something pure. He'd long since forgotten what that felt like. Slowly, his fingers brushed it, and then he undid it, pulling it free. He looked at her, voice low. "I'm not that man anymore." She stepped forward, tears in her voice. "Then act like the man you want to be." For a heartbeat. Their eyes locked, past, regret, and redemption colliding in silence. And then, outside, the sound of horses echoed again, more riders, faster this time. The marshal wasn't alone anymore. Caleb turned to her, urgent. Go. But she hesitated. Not without you. He caught her shoulders. If they catch you, it's the noose. If they catch me, it's worse. I'll draw them off. She shook her head, voice breaking. You'll die, Caleb. He smiled faintly, eyes soft. Then at least it'll mean something. Before she could speak again, he was gone, out into the night, gun drawn, hat low. He fired once, a warning shot that split the silence. The riders veered toward him instantly, their torches flaring like angry stars. Evelyn watched through tears as he disappeared into the darkness, his silhouette swallowed by the plains. The sound of gunfire echoed, one shot, then another, then silence. She fell to her knees, trembling, clutching the silver badge he'd dropped at her feet. The first light of dawn crept over the hills, painting the barn in gold. And somewhere beyond the ridge, the wind carried a whisper, low, steady, like a promise not yet broken. Don't take it off, she had said. But Caleb Thorn had taken it off, and in doing so, maybe found the men he'd lost long ago. As the scene faded, the story of a rancher's redemption and a woman's desperate love lingered in the hearts of all who'd listen. A Wild West tale of sacrifice, loyalty, and the ghosts we all carry.